Hello everybody, and it seems that World War III is on the horizon. Is the end nigh? I don't know, but it seems that way. We've had a terrorist attack in Stockholm, the truck of peace has struck again, and not only that, but a chemical attack in Syria, and America has reacted to that by essentially throwing missiles at an airbase, and well, it looks like war is pretty much inevitable at this point. Now let's talk about Stockholm first. Now, no information as of yet on my end about whether or not there's been any wounded or people who've been killed. I assume that has well been the case. And again, as in any other story like this, in any video like this, we have to hope that this is the final wake-up call. It's happened in Sweden, the rape capital of Europe, as they say, home to a large migrant population. I hope this is the final wake-up call. You've got to hope it is, right? Because for too long, we've been seeing the exact same thing happening. This is the MO of ISIS, or maybe a lone gunman that they're later on going to declare was theirs. Anyway, how many times does this have to happen in Europe for people to decide, yeah, we need to do something about this, or at the very least have a discussion? Now, two things could happen. Two things. One, either the usual, not all Muslims, bullshit, Islam didn't do nothing, the terrorists aren't true Muslims, they don't represent Islam in any way, blah, 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 blah. Or we finally get our shit together and we come to the table, at the very least, to discuss the issues. Now, the other side of the discussing issues is that people make a knee-jerk decision and do things that we're going to regret. I hope the discussion thing happens, because at least we can get together, formulate plans, talk to community leaders, talk to the communities themselves, figure out how to stop people getting radicalised, figure out how to stop the growing radicalisation of not just the Muslims, but also other Europeans who are going to be reacting to this eventually. I mean, there's only so much people can take when their own friends and family are getting killed, or they're getting bullied, or they're getting raped, and stuff like that. You know, all the horror stories. Even if it's exaggerated or not exaggerated, it doesn't matter. If they're sick of it, they're going to act. And as for Syria, well, wasn't Trump really meant to be brought in to stop World War III? You know, Hillary was hell-bent on doing it. That was one of the policy things, like, the no-fly zone, which would require an act of war against Russia to impose. Well, now, this has happened. Now, apparently, they did give prior warning to the Russians, but I don't see the justification in this. Why? Well, firstly, let's just take a look at this. There was another chemical attack by the rebels, or the terrorists, as they really are. They did it to Syrian civilians first, but I know this was the Obama administration, who had a different policy, but I don't see many people clamouring to attack them, at least back then. People seem to want to stay out of it, as they should have done, because that could only bring more trouble. But now, all of a sudden, America needs to go out and attack them and bring, most likely, my country into the war, when they could have done so ages ago. And then they go out and attack an airbase. Like, what airbase? What kind of airbase? Are we talking about an Assad airbase, an ISIS airbase? I've not heard anything about who owned the airbase. Apparently it doesn't matter. The point is that you sent a message to Assad and to the Syrian government, oh, you can't do that, you can't do that. Yeah, good on you. Now, I've seen both sides trying to spin a few things, and by both sides I mean right-wingers and left-wingers. Now, Trump supporters and right-wingers have been very, very divided. A lot of Trump supporters, overwhelmingly, at least what I could gather from a Paul Joseph Watson poll on Twitter, so take that with a grain of salt, this isn't official or anything, most are against it. In fact, they don't agree with this whatsoever. So they're standing by what they voted Trump for and feel very betrayed that he's now doing this, and I agree with them on that. You voted for him to adopt essentially a non-interventionist policy, a return to isolationism, and this is what you get, right? While conversely, you have some people who are justifying this, saying that, yeah, we are the hegemon of the world, to quote Louis Leveau, even though he's not a Trump supporter, that's just what he likes to say, and they should be doing this because, look at those poor Syrian kids. They really touched Trump. That made him want to act. That was his casus belli for it. That was his justification. The kids, think of the children. Yeah, think of the civilians, even though America didn't act before. Even though he could have totally said in the primaries that, yeah, look at the Syrian war, that's what we should be involved in. Look at all those people getting gassed. Yeah, he didn't do that in the primaries. Instead, he spoke out against such actions. He hammered the Republicans relentlessly about the Iraq war, especially Jeb Bush. But apparently it's okay now when he does it. And I think these people are angry about that. But the people who are justifying it say, yeah, we should be doing this. It's a step too far, even though a step too far has already been reached at this point, right? While on the left, they're trying to say, oh, let's wait for the Trump supporters and right-wingers to justify this. And it's like, well, as I've already mentioned, most are against this and they're very disappointed in Trump, while others are, again, trying to spin it and say that, yeah, his hand was forced. He's playing 4D chess. He's forcibly fake news. I've heard loads of shit about civil war in the White House, which has affected this, and the military is supposedly trying to essentially blackmail him. Say, yeah, we'll expose you for losing control of us if you don't do this. Now, yeah, I know presidents will have those kind of pressures, but really, social justice warriors, you can spin that all you want. You can try and make out that rationals, as H-Bomber guy said, and whatever Tom Avella said about Trump supporters, yeah, you do know that a lot of them think differently from each other, right? And conversely, I remember seeing PJW trying desperately to say that the right are more peaceful than the left, when this isn't a left or right issue, really. This has nothing to do with that. You're trying to simply virtue signal. You're trying to say, oh, look how peaceful we are. Look how warmongering the left is. When there's probably about equal amounts of left-wingers who don't want war as right-wingers do. Let's stop the spin and at least try to have cogent arguments and opinions, okay? Anyway, that's the end of the video. I'll probably polarise people a bit on the Trump thing. I disagree with the war because I just know if this ends up going into war, my country's going to get dragged into it. Our armed forces are going to end up going to another pointless war, and I know that our economy is not really in a situation to deal with yet more debt. So, yeah. Until next time, people, I'll see you all later.